Welcome to Sankofa Pan-African series. Please support us through Patreon and by buying me coffee. Don't just subscribe to this channel. Turn on the notification button, share our videos, and check out our website, sankofastorybooks.com, for history, Afrocentric stories, and other resources for children. Our guest today is Dr. Juanita Cox, who gained her PhD from the University of Birmingham and is a winner of the prestigious R.E. Bradbury Memorial Prize. She is currently the leading authority on the life and work of the Guyanese novelist Edgar Mittelholzer and is editor of the compendium Creole Chips and Other Writing. Dr. Juanita Cox was an associate fellow of the London Metropolitan University, where she lectured in Caribbean studies and Black British history. She co-founded the groundbreaking series Guyana Speaks in 2017, and this is an education and networking forum which has become a key monthly event in the calendar of the London-based Guyanese diaspora. In 2019, she worked on the nationality, identity, and belonging, an oral history of the Windrush generation and their relationships to the British state. The project, which covered the years 1948 to 2018, was at the University of London's Institute of Commonwealth Studies. Dr. Cox is currently working at the Institute of Historical Research on a 3-year AHRC-funded oral history project, the Windrush scandal in a transnational and Commonwealth context. She's a trustee on the board of the Oral History Society and serves on the editorial board of Black History Dialogues. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Juanita Cox. Thank you very much, Dr. Juanita Cox, for joining us on the Sankofa Pan-African series. We'll be talking about the incredible work you're doing. So, what does the Windrush generation mean?
Essentially, it's Caribbean migrants who settled in the UK, and they settled in the UK after World War II, but they're also considered to they belong to the period before the 1st of January 1973, because they shared the status at that time with the rest of the citizens of Britain. I think it's termed the citizens of the UK and colonies. So all of those people were considered to be British subjects. And by around the 1990s, they came to be known as the Windrush generation. I mean, at the time, everybody just referred to them as West Indians, but over time, we've called them, the Windrush generation. I think one of the things to really be aware of is that many served in the Second World War. Many went on to contribute to the rebuilding of Britain after the war. They supplemented the much diminished labor force during that period, particularly in areas such as nursing, in the bus and railway transportation systems, the post offices and restaurants. And in fact, as you may know, the NHS, the National Health Service that we have here, was established in 1948. And there's no coincidence that Black women and men have played a really central role in the success of the NHS in the UK. The other thing to note is that the actual name Windrush is taken from the name of a ship that attracted widespread media attention at the time of its arrival on the 21st of June, 1948. And it arrived from the Caribbean with about 1,207 passengers, 500 of whom were of Caribbean heritage. And for some reason, I'm not really clear why, but the British media were really fascinated by its arrival. And that's how the name kind of fell into popular use.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. The British actually went to the Caribbean to invite these people. I mean, there were calls, for people to come and work in Britain. That was why a lot of them got on the ship. Am I?
It's a very complicated picture.
Oh, okay.
You're not wrong, but I would just like to clarify a few things. I think the thing to really be aware of is that because these were colonized territories, the British had extracted all their wealth and resources. So there was a lot of widespread unemployment and poverty in those territories. At the same time, those people had been brought up to believe that Britain was the mother country and that because they were British subjects, they had equal rights as anybody else to come to Britain and live and settle there. Now, there's a difference between did the British government want them there and did the British people working in commerce, business people, did they want them there? There's a big difference. I think people don't recognize because actually the British government have for a long time had this idea of keeping Britain white. And in actual fact, when that ship, the Windrush ship, was on its way heading to Britain, when the government heard about it, they actually, for a moment, came up with the idea of diverting it to East Africa, saying those people could go and pick peanuts as far as they were concerned. And the only reason that didn't happen was because the government then decided, no, people will realize we're racist and therefore it will affect their relationship with the Commonwealth and their standing, their standing. So, but what you did have was people recognizing there wasn't a labor force, because of the post-war period. So, for example, people from Barbados in particular were invited to come and help on the transportation system. People from the postal service asked people to come and do that. Even the NHS under Enoch Powell, who later on talk about the rivers of blood, asked for people to come and help. So yes, they were invited, but you have to remember there were parts of the society that also didn't want them there. So there was this kind of slightly more complex dynamic going on.
An ambiguous invitation. Come, don't come. We need you. We don't want you.
Well, come, but don't stay.
Don't stay.
Is really the thing. I just want to point out that there has been a Black presence in Britain for centuries. It's really important that people know this.
Yeah.
At least back to Roman times.
Yes.
Possibly even as far as 10,000 years ago, because they discovered what they call the Cheddar Man, but some people who've been in Britain who were clearly of dark brown or Black complexion. So the idea of the Windrush generation is a kind of false demarcation because Black people have always been here. But that is what they're called, this particular group that arrived in Britain between 48 and 73.